Hey, I'm Ryan from the Sheepdogs,
And I'm Sam from the Sheepdogs.
and this is episode 72 of the Sit Down Podcast.
Hey, I'm Mark.
I'm Joel.
These episodes of the Sit Down Podcast are brought to you by Funky Moose Records.
Subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment below, and ring the bell because it really helps us out, you guys.
And check out funkymooserecords.ca for all your used and new records and accessories.
And merch. From the hip.
What's up, everyone?
Hey, guys.
Mark and Joel here. We had an interesting episode today.
Interesting? This one was sweet, man.
Yeah, okay. So we've been talking about way back when we started this, we were saying, wouldn't it be sweet if...
Yeah, if we got the Sheepdogs on, and...
Bada bing, bada boom.
There you go. Boom. Mark got a hold of the guys from Sheepdogs, and we got to hang out with them for a little bit tonight. We asked them... We didn't ask them, like...
The standard questions.
Yeah, standard questions. It was more just, like, talking about their tour coming up, the EP release, album release. What else? It was...
Sam has a signed pair of drumsticks. Leave in the comments below
who signed those drumsticks. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Because nobody commented on this week's episode. Not yet.
From
At
now
this
on,
time, nobody has commented on the treasure hunt from last week.
From now on, we're going to be doing this every week. Eventually, someone will comment.
Oh, man. Maybe there'll be a prize if you get it right.
Oh.
Mark's like, you're giving out free shit again.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we can give some tickets away for
Moose Fest. Hey, possibly. I like that idea.
You got to
comment. Yeah, if nobody's commenting, we're not giving away anything.
So,
yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah. This episode is also brought to you by m3is3d.com. They make headphone stands in the shape of famous people's heads.
Yeah, ours is coming. We ordered the Elon Musk puffing on the joint from Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to keep my headphones.
I'm assuming it's going to be here any day.
Right. We'll probably get it. By the time this is aired, we probably got it.
Yeah.
Man, I say all the time. I'm so sorry, you guys. I promise you, I'm aware of it, and I'm working on it, and I'm gonna try and kick that habit. So my apologies for the listeners out there.
You want me to slap you every time you say
Dude, somebody needs to sit right here with like a Nerf gun, and every time I go I should be shot in the head with a Nerf gun.
My kid has a water gun. Does that count?
Maybe. I'm going to figure it out, you guys.
A spray bottle, like cats. If a cat does something.
I need something. I don't know why I do it. I'm an idiot. What can I say?
Anyway.
All right, you guys. Enjoy this episode. We did.
Sam should be here in 1 minute, but we can...
Sure.
Yeah,
it's just that way, if something good happens, I can throw it in or cut it out.
Sure. Something good happens?
Yeah. Something good happens. But, yeah, so the short version of the podcast is so Mark and I have been friends for years, right? And Mark's had Funky Moose Records this is the 6th year.
Yep.
And we're always just talking music all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's legit how it is. And I'm a fan of comedy podcasts like Joe Rogan, YMH, Josh Potter Show, Bill Burr, Two Bears, One Cave, like that, the comedy podcasts, right? So I'm always trying to get him hooked on it, and he's got zero interest in it at all. And I'm like, dude, we could totally do this. Let's just fucking put a camera up and talk about music, right?
Yeah.
And let's give it a go. Try and direct people to the music store.
And then for my side, I've always seen podcasts as kind of a marketing tool for the business.
Mm-hmm.
So when he came up with, we should do a podcast, I was like, that's, good idea. So then we
Yeah, legit had no freaking clue what we're doing.
No, we just grabbed
Turned
the camera.
on,
That's
on
great,
our
though.
phone.
Yeah.
So turned our phone on, right?
So,
And that's how it started.
so we're like,
Um,
so what's going to be the format? We're like, I don't know. Let's
Yeah.
sit down and talk about music news or whatever.
Fuck, it was brutal, man. Those first episodes are terrible.
If
But
you're-
I mean, that's what's kind of like wonderful and also like shitty, I guess, about podcasts is that like literally anyone can do them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like taking like what when you're a kid and you'd like make like a radio program or something. It's like doing your own
Right.
version of that. Unfortunately, some people haven't learned much more than when they were a kid making a radio program. There's probably some kids' radio programs that are better than some podcasts, but I think that's what's really cool. You know, like you're talking in the comedy realm. It's been like there's been two things that have really like skyrocketed comedy. It's podcasts and Netflix, and those things are two like very much hand in hand. It's like, but in the same thing with music, I think there's there's a place now for stuff to live online, regardless of like who represents you and whatever. And as a result, then the sky's the limit, really. But you can also put out something really crappy and just have it out there, or you could just go for it. You don't have to wait for somebody to like green light you.
That's
So,
exactly it, right?
Yeah.
Like I keep saying, well, I don't keep doing it, but I guess lately I've been like comparing us to Wayne and Garth from like, right? Like we're legitimately in Mark's basement here doing
great.
this show. And man, we've got like tonight, the fucking Sheepdogs, man. You know what I mean? And like, spoiler alert, in a couple weeks, we've got Theory of a Dead Man coming on.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, yeah, exactly, right? And we're just two dudes hanging out in Mark's
Yeah.
basement for crying out loud. It's like, what the hell?
No, that's great. Well, I mean, like
Yeah,
from a band's perspective, it's like an interesting thing because traditional interviews, there aren't a lot of, especially in Canada, a lot of like media outlets like there used to be. And I mean, we all consume information differently, and podcast is definitely a way. So like for us, it's fun to do these kind of long form interviews. It's not like the same questions like, on the radio or, TV
Yeah.
interviews that are all about like, quote a minute and you're done in 2 seconds.
Right. And
It's like fun to have a full conversation. And I love hearing, there's various people that I like over the years have discovered like their personality more through podcasts and come to really appreciate them. And I think for us, that's cool. There's Sam there now.
I'm late, guys.
Hey, man, no
No problem,
problem.
Bedtime routine took a little longer with kids
Oh,
tonight, but
It's all good. You have two now, right?
yeah, that's right.
I
One
was
is
watching. Yeah, I was watching your the release party, the shotgunning beers. There, I'm about. to
oh
know.
yeah,
That's how I know.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we were saying that Sam's the busiest man in show business. He put out a record and had a kid. He made a record and made a kid at the same
Put out a
time.
kid.
So,
Through COVID.
yeah.
Nice. How old are the kids?
Oldest Lucy is 2.5, and Sally is like 2.5 months.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I remember those times.
yeah, it's fun, but obviously busy as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
But all good. Everybody's healthy. Can't complain.
There you
That's
go.
good, man.
Yeah.
Very good. Congratulations, you guys, on the release. Like,
Thank
you.
I got to listen to it today. I think my favorite one is it just 6 songs?
Yeah.
It is, right?
Yeah.
So is it considered an EP or an album?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I've been calling it an album. I think technically an album is anything that's, I think it's 6 songs or 20 minutes long is like whatever. Like if you wanted to like
Considered an
apply
album.
for a Juno, that's like the definition of it. But we looked
Right.
at it as an EP. I mean, it was supposed to be a full length. I mean, at the beginning of COVID, we were supposed to do Junos in Saskatoon, and then we were going down to Portland to make a full length record, and that all didn't happen. And so when it came to coming back, we sort of decided like rather than it's a weird time. It's a weird time to try to navigate. So rather than coming out with like a whole thing, we were like, let's just get together where we can, which was tough to do as it is with the restrictions. And let's record like kind of pick 6 songs that we really like and put it on this one with the idea that, this is not going to be the last thing we're going to put out this year where we have more stuff on the go. So yes, I mean, I've been calling it an album because I feel like calling it EP feels weird. But it obviously like our last couple albums had like 17 tracks, so it's a very different feel for sure
Right.
to have a short
Yeah.
thing.
Right. No,
Cool.
it's freaking good. I think my favorite one, if I had to pick one, I'll be honest, I like Jesse Please.
No, nice. That's like
We're getting a lot of feedback. A lot of people saying that's their favorite. It's probably my favorite actually too.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. It just even sounds fun to play. It really does.
It really
Yeah.
is for sure.
And you're not even a musician.
Yeah, and I don't know how to play. It sounds like it would be fun.
Yeah, it's good air guitar
yeah,
one. You
yeah,
can guitar harmonies, so you can air guitar with a friend if you wanted to. You know?
With the badminton racket.
Yeah.
Did you know that on YouTube though it cuts out before it's over?
I didn't know that.
There you go.
Dun, dun,
I'll
dun.
have
You
to
heard it
fix
here
that.
first.
Yeah,
Where does it cut out?
at 3 minutes and 23 seconds. The last 20 some seconds is like just
Weird.
dead.
Oh,
You know,
no,
it's
it's my
funny.
big drum fills.
Yeah. That's weird. I'll have to go in on that.
Yeah.
It's funny with some of that stuff because like it's great when people tell you that because sometimes you have no idea that's going
Mhm.
on. So there was another thing where something was mislabeled that weeks went by and nobody noticed. It had been played like thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And so, yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'll dig into that tomorrow.
No
Yeah, you
doubt.
look at-
It's
you look
getting
at the-
lots of plays.
You
for
look
sure.
at the counter and it's lots of people are.
I think you
are
know what I
watching it,
think
so.
it's pretty freaking high already too. And I'll be honest that like because I skim through comments, right? And in the comments, people are like, "Is it supposed to do that?" And then so
You're
I
such a
almost
liar.
commented. I almost commented, "Well, I can ask him tonight." But
Don't want to pull that.
So
Well,
it's
you know,
over.
one of the funniest ones I ever heard of that was I don't remember the name of the band. It was a band, I think it was through Dynalone, which we put records out on, and they released like a cassette version of their album, and they made like 500 limited edition cassettes, and like a year or more later went by, sold out all 500 cassettes, like sold out really quickly, and then the band got an email that said, "Hey, I just was listening to your cassette here, and this is totally a different band that's on this cassette." And it's like, you know, 500 people bought that album, and you know, it gives you the idea of how many people are buying cassettes and actually listening to them. And like all those people that bought those ones, only one person listened to it, and it was some other random band that got pressed on it. So it's like gives you an idea. But it's funny, like, because like when you put that stuff out, it's not like you're like listening to, you know, it's not like I'm watching our YouTube videos. Like I put them up or you know, get them done, and then realize that there's something funky there. So yeah, that's funny.
I have a version of Heroes by David Bowie on vinyl. And side one is Heroes, and side two is Surrealistic Pillow by Jefferson Airplane.
Oh,
So maybe I should call up David Bowie about that.
I don't think you
Let him
can.
know.
I remember that reminds me when I was like really little, I had bought a cassette of. Do you guys know who Raffi is? That guy who sings
Oh,
like
yeah.
Baby Beluga, like
Oh,
that
yeah.
children's.
I'm rocking a lot of Raffi these days.
Yeah.
You know.
Pops over there. Yeah.
But we had gotten this cassette, and it was like Elvis Presley's greatest hits. But
That's
on like
funny.
the cassette label was like Raffi, and it had the song titles and stuff. But it was Elvis songs
Oh,
throughout
that could be a lot worse.
through the whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
could-
that definitely could have a lot worse. Yeah, I wish I could remember. I don't really remember what the I don't remember who the band was. I just always thought it was so funny because like you think about these people putting albums out on cassette, and it's sort of a bit of a novelty, and it just really goes to show you who's actually listening. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people have
It wa-
cars that rock cassettes, but yeah, I think it's a funny.
It wasn't the Sheepdogs that went on there.
It wasn't. We do have cassettes. Our album Future Nostalgia is available on cassette, but it works. I checked. After I read that, I learned about that. I went and checked.
Man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Here's something kind of funny and interesting is when Mark and I started the podcast, like no word of a lie, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, but when we were like, oh man, could you imagine if we get the Sheepdogs on the show, right?
Yeah.
And now we got you, man. So I
There
think
you
we're
go.
doing something right, and I appreciate you guys being here out of your busy schedules. Welcome, man. You guys, this is awesome. Congratulations on the release.
Thanks.
I understand you guys have some colored copies for Record Store Day, right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't for Record Store Day, but we did it as a Canadian indie record exclusive. So we sold limited copies at the pre-sale, but we held back copies to be only sold at retail. And then basically the idea was that we wanted people to not necessarily, because we want people to go out and support record stores. We love traveling across the country and going to independent record stores. I mean, a big part of our understanding of music comes from buying records from independent record stores. So we know that's a hard hit part of, from the pandemic. So a big thing for us was to have exclusive vinyl that only was, to encourage people to go and buy a record from their local record store. So yeah, so we had it was such a demand for it just for us, and we limited the copies for off our web store, like it sold out in less than, I think it was like 6 hours they sold out. And so then the rest we sent to indie record stores.
Sweet.
Man, that's a
Yeah,
lot of
it's
fun.
actually funny because last week I got a phone call. Funky Moose Records is an online only record store, so we can't participate in record store day. But I got a phone call from someone asking about a record store day release, and I had to disappoint him, saying that no, you can't order it. You can only order it after record store day if there's any stock left. And then I said, but do you have a record store close to you? He's like, yeah. Well, then you should go there. And I told him flat out, this might sound weird from an online record store owner, but you should go support your local record store.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what to reply. He was like, okay, thanks.
But I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
That's like Mark and I, we were talking about this before we let you guys in too, because I still don't, it bugs me that Mark can't be part of that brick and mortar thing. I'm sure there has to be some type of loophole where you can get around. Yeah.
No,
see, you just shut that door right away. But you have records here, man.
Right.
They're right here. I'm looking at them.
But I talked to the CEO of Record Store Day in Canada. He says it can't be done. So what do you want me to do?
Wow.
I guess you maybe just need to like have somehow like have, you know, somebody come into your house once a week, and then you're a brick and mortar store.
Tell that CEO that we said it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can see it. Like, I mean, like obviously, like it's like podcasts, right? It's like everyone can open an online store on Discogs now, but there should be a designation if you're, you know, you're not selling Discog style, like you're an online store. There's nothing. I mean, I think it's probably just stop somebody from just, I don't know. There should be no reason. I guess it's because they're trying to keep it righteous or whatever it is.
I
Because,
think it's to prevent scalpers. Like,
yeah,
you can set up a website pretty easy. I mean, it doesn't have to look good, right? And if you can show, well, I have a website, so I'm legit, and buy 500 copies of the limited edition of the Sheepdogs, then you know you can sell them at 300% margin.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I was pretty surprised too, because when I was going through like all the distros, so basically I went through and made sure that they were evenly distributed. There's like, I mean, we've been to a lot of them, but there's so many independent record stores in very small towns and things like that I didn't even know that existed. And so when I was going through and trying to allocate all of the albums, it is a tricky thing to do, because like there is a surprising, even within Canada, I can't imagine in the States where there's like record stores like all these millions of them.
Yeah.
But it was like a tricky job. Like it was like wanting to make sure that everyone got them and making sure that there wasn't like things being hoarded and stuff like that. So I could see that being a problem for if you were doing whatever they do, like 50 record store day releases.
Yeah. I think it's annoying that even just regular people go to record stores, buy whatever inventory they can get their hands on, and then put it on eBay for 3 times the price.
Right. Just
That's
buy $1 record and then try and sell it for freaking $20 or something.
I mean, kudos to you for flipping records, but
those are entrepreneurs, don't you know that?
Well, I can get you at that one. We had a merch guy that worked for us for a short while, who was taking our albums and selling them on Discogs because in a lot of places our records aren't as available. Like in Canada, they're pretty available, but in other places internationally, they're not. So they definitely like are expensive. And I went online on Discogs to see how much our records were going for, because it's a concern. I want it to be available, and I hate seeing people pay like $70 for one of our records. And I recognized the name. It was a very distinctive name, and I looked it up, and sure enough, it was our guy we were between tours, and he had obviously taken like a stack of our records, and he was selling them on Discogs for profit.
Oh shit!
Oh, dude.
Needless to say, he doesn't work for you anymore.
Oh yeah, that was pretty quick fire on that one.
Wow.
Yes,
people are sneaky, man, in the industry. Hey.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's a good thing. Like the only good thing about the record business, like plummeting in sales, is that there's not as much money to steal from artists. Like if you read about all our favorite bands from the 60s and 70s, like all of them got totally screwed by their manager or whoever, the label, right? Now there's just not as much. The only reason why that hasn't happened to us is there's not as much money to steal these days. That's what I think.
Right.
that's a good thing.
I noticed, well, there's a band that we had on the show out of Toronto, 12 Years Today. Have you guys ever heard of those guys before?
No.
They're having a pretty rough go at it right now. Something happened with their Spotify. Like somebody hacked it and said that it
No.
wasn't their music or something?
No.
Is that what happened?
They filed a copyright claim against 12 Years Today,
Oh, okay.
but it's not even like some random person just didn't like 12 Years Today and said, "Hey, this is not original music. You should take that down."
Right. So
Oh, wow.
Spotify
did.
took it down immediately without even questioning
Consulting.
it.
Yeah.
And then they're having a hard time getting it back up there, and they're pretty pissed, to say the least.
I think it's
right
been
now.
a month or so now.
Yeah.
And nothing is happening. Like
Yeah.
their distribution, like I don't know if there was CD Baby or DistroKid.
I
whatever.
honestly, maybe I shouldn't have brought it up because I don't even know the whole story. I just know
Yeah.
it wasn't good, man. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of. I mean, yeah. I guess the people screwing you shift it, and especially with something like Spotify, like it often can feel like a pretty faceless organization. Like we, we have a connection to reps and stuff like that because of the position we're in, but there's other times in our career where you certainly feel like you're just sort of throwing stuff up there. It'd be very difficult to try to like navigate getting something back on there unless you like knew somebody.
Right.
And even then, sometimes when you know people that work for Spotify, it doesn't necessarily like help you. So
Yeah.
that sucks, man. That's terrible.
I mean, times have changed so much since
And
you
fast.
guys were the first band on the cover of Rolling Stones that weren't signed, right?
Mhm.
Like, fuck, man, so much has changed since then too, right? Like, so
What year was that?
That was almost 10. Yeah, almost 10 years ago.
11,
August
yeah.
3rd, it'll be 10 years ago that issue came out. But I mean, you have to keep in mind we've been a band for 17 years. I mean, we started this band. Sam, you and I started this band in 2004. So, I mean, we went from like even within our career of touring where smartphones didn't exist, so you were like traveling with a binder that had printed out maps, so you knew how to get from point A to point B, and
Yeah.
you'd show up into a town and look for a poster or ask someone where the bar is because you didn't have like necessarily a GPS or anything like that. To now where streaming was starting to happen, but it definitely was early days. I mean, now everything is sort of at your fingertips. Like the scale in which, or like the trajectory in which technology has changed in all of our lives is crazy, but especially, it's very, very much present in music and how much we consume and how different the career of a musician it has been in those last 10 years. I mean, 2005 was they considered to be the peak of the music industry before it all collapsed around like streaming. So it's like, that's why like Linkin Park has all these like sales records, because they were like at the prime. 2005 was like the most records ever sold were like 2005, and then it just tanked. And so like how much that's changed since when we started this band to now is pretty remarkable.
I was gonna say you're making it sound like you're very old when you say you have to look on a map.
it kind of fits that vintage.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should just keep rocking that. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So so how did it go from? And I mean, you probably beat this horse to death, but like, no, is that the?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
How does?
Wait. Mark isn't Canadian officially. Well, he's officially Canadian, but he's not from Canada.
No, I'm not officially.
I was trying to place your accent.
I was gonna say, are you
Like
Dutch?
Dutch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We play the Netherlands a bunch.
Yeah.
You guys are the first ones that actually guess it right off the bat.
We spend a lot of time
too, so that's
yeah. I was gonna say like if you're like white and tall and have like that kind, we spend a lot of time. You actually your accent is very similar to a guy we know that promotes our shows in Amsterdam and all of Netherlands named Jaco, and Jaco has very similar voice. But I mean, the funny thing about the Netherlands is just that everyone speaks such good English. It's like one of the only countries that you can go in like mainland Europe where you kind of forget that they don't.
Right, yeah.
English isn't their first language.
Yeah, we will get people in Netherlands like apologizing for their English, but you can understand them perfectly. And then you go to Scotland where they're speaking English, and you really can't understand them at all.
Yeah,
And they're not apologizing.
no, not at all.
Oh yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
Yes, we have beat this horse to death, but you're saying sort of like how it all started.
No, how do you go from a band that opened up a binder to find the bar that they're playing in to the cover of Rolling Stone?
Yeah, like let's go back like freaking 15 years.
It was a long, slow process. We started out, we would just play in my parents' basement for, close to a year. Started playing shows around Saskatoon for maybe another year. And then we started to tour across Canada. And pretty quickly we realized that if we wanted to, make it as a band, whatever that means, that we would have to kind of focus our touring energy towards Toronto specifically. So we would do these tours where we would drive straight from Saskatoon, Toronto, which is like 32 hours, play some shows, maybe play in the GTA a little bit, and drive home. We basically did that for like 5 years. And this time we were like starting to get like maybe a bit of a reputation, but very small amount. Like we would be pretty pumped if we would play an out-of-town show to like 50 people a lot of the time. That would be pretty cool. But we caught the attention of this guy Ryan mentioned, Dynalone Records, the guy who runs Dynalone Records, Joel Carrier. He heard of our band, and he called Ryan one day and said something along the lines of like, I kind of put your guys into this thing. If it happens, it would be a life changer, but I can't even tell you what it is right now. And it turns out what it was the Rolling Stone contest. So they're choosing an unsigned band to be on the cover of Rolling Stone.
So it was put on through Rolling Stone and Atlantic. So they were like looking for bands that were unsigned that people thought were good. So he submitted us. It was like a very much a coincidental thing. I mean, we were at a friend's house he was at, and we didn't have a place to stay because, we would just try to find somewhere to stay every night. And we ended up, he's like, oh, you can sleep in my office. And we went to his office, and there's like Junos and gold records on the wall and stuff. And he obviously is a very successful music manager and label. Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy thing, right? Like we literally started as like buds, being 19 years old, trying to like just wanted to do something different. We're living in Saskatoon, and we're like, we want to try to do something different. I mean, if you want to talk about dating yourselves, I had just lost my job at Blockbuster Video. So that will tell you how long ago that was. And it was like basically like Sam, you and I were buds and wanted to try doing something different. So we got together. We never played in bands before. This was our first go at it. And we really kind of like serendipitously learned to play music together and then eventually learned to like perform music together and all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's a long trajectory. It was 7 years of sort of like going from let's give this a shot to like, oh, we kind of have something here to, Rolling Stone. And then, more time has passed now since then. Like it was what felt like an eternity, 7 years prior to that. And now it's been 10 years since then. So it's pretty remarkable. When you think about it, when we were coming up, like we were 19 when we started that band. So we're like coming up on the point where we've been in this band in our lives almost longer than we're not in this band, which is like a weird threshold to cross. But yeah, I mean, the Rolling Stone thing was a crazy thing. I mean, it was like a whirlwind. It was like taking, like Sam said, we were starting to get a little bit of traction, and people were starting to take notice. We'd start playing a few more people in Toronto or a few, Winnipeg or where we'd start seeing a little bit more action, but that just like took off. Like it was like, suddenly we're getting played on the radio all the time. People are really paying attention to the band. We were going between like playing all over Canada on the weekends, back down to New York for the week. And we'd be doing these competitions and trying to like win these different competitions or performances for judges and things like that. And then we drove back to Canada and do more performances. And, went from playing, like Sam said, we'd be pumped if we were playing to 50 or 100 people sometimes, and to like stepping out on a stage and there'd be thousands of people, tens of thousands in some cases on stages, so it was a pretty big change, and then we won the contest, and that was a really big deal. And, it was insane. You were in like a billboard in Times Square, and you'd like go through to like a magazine stand and you'd see like your picture there. And obviously like things really changed, but so much of that was like, okay, we worked so hard, 7 years of just like making no money and being frustrated to this point. So much of after that was, okay, let's see what we can do now. Like, let's prove to people. Cause like, obviously we're not stupid. Like we know people are like, oh, that band that won that competition. And we were like, we are a real band. Like, we're not just like, it's not like, we were put together like a K-pop band or something like that. Like we're dudes that are just love rock and roll. And so much of kind of between now and then has been like proving to ourselves and everyone else, like this wasn't just like a thing that we won a contest, but it was about like putting up continue to put up music, continue to like challenge ourselves to like be better musicians and be better songwriters and things like that, and then and do more and be better. So that's sort of what we've done for the last 10 years is really kind of that. That's kind of the story, I guess.
Right. So the life of touring, like I saw on your website, like you guys got the tour plan for 2022. Like, is that, you must be pretty pumped about that too, considering like getting past COVID and everything, not being able to do that, right? But is that like so what I'm getting at is like the life of a rock star and being on the road and touring and everything. Like, fuck, man, you must just, I'm so jealous of you guys being able to do that. Like, man, kudos to you. But I mean, does that still like fire you up, or are you at a point in the career where you're like, this fucking song again? Like, I don't want to do this, or you know what I mean?
I personally, like, I'm lucky that, or we're lucky that we're in a band where we like the music. So not everybody is that lucky. So I never really get tired of playing the songs just because I like them. It's fun to play live. When you talk about like the life of touring, one thing that's maybe kind of fortunate in a way for us is that we're definitely fortunate. We do very well in Canada. We play to, like Ryan said, thousands of people here in a lot of cities, and so that goes really well. We get to tour on a bus, or we fly to different shows in the summer when they're happening. But in other territories like Europe or America, we're playing in smaller clubs. So we're going by van to all the different cities, and we're doubling up in hotel rooms and stuff. So I think that kind of keeps us a little humble and maybe a little grounded as far as that goes.
Yeah, I mean,
having said that, I would love if we were playing to 1,000 people in those other, thousands of people in those other countries, but it can be a good thing.
Getting there. I mean, I think that the thing is that like touring always, regardless of even at the level when you're like very like beyond where we're at, when you think about like, touring is exhausting. I mean, it's like traveling is fun, but you often end up seeing, the vehicles and hotel rooms and venues, and repeat. And I know that sort of sounds like a cliche thing, but definitely COVID's given a lot of like perspective to that, because it all just disappeared. I mean, we are forever kind of on that hustle train and go out and do this thing, do that thing, do this thing, and go to this tour. We had a whole string of things, lined up, and they all just disappeared, right? Like tours and recording. And so it gives you some perspective, and definitely like having time off has been enjoyable, but it makes you miss touring and that kind of stuff. And I mean, obviously so much of why we started this band, it was sort of like, let's go and try to do something different, and let's go and did exactly that. It's like, I mean, we are all from Saskatoon, and it's like the prospect of like, going to Europe and things like that when you're 19 and not making a whole lot of money and stuff like that seems like almost impossible or like challenging. Right. So to go and do that and have people show up and see your set and sing your songs and things like that is like a real trip. And you have to like kind of step back and appreciate that. But yeah, I agree with Sam. Like, I think that we've never taken it for granted. And so as a result, I think like everyone gets there like, oh, like I'm tired and hungover and wish I didn't have to go and travel for 8 hours and go play a show. But then you get up on stage and like since then we're not like tired of doing what we're doing. So you get up on stage and you get all your buds on stage and you're playing the songs you like to play and people are singing them back to you and that kind of stuff. It all kind of makes it worth it. I mean, it is like, it's fun. I mean, but there's also been like tons of tours we've done where it's not super fun. Like you literally are driving 8 hours every single day. And the only thing you're seeing are like gas stations and the hotel and the venue smells like old cigs and gross beer. And all you want to do is like be at home and hang out. And I mean, it's not like to say that we don't enjoy it, but it's like any job. It's like even the best job in the world has those days where you're like, this sucks sometimes. You're going to find things that like, drive you crazy or make you tired and stuff like that.
So when you end up at a venue and you have like I don't know, 150, 200 people in front of you, do you go like, that's disappointing? Or is it, okay,
no.
100 people, let's go?
Because you're so, like, if you're used to seeing 1,000 people per show and then you go to one and there's only 50, are you like, what's going on here?
We're pumped as long as it's more than the last time we played in that town. Like, for example, we were touring in the States a couple years ago and we play, for example, like Atlanta, and there wouldn't be that many people at the show, maybe like 100 or something like that. And we actually went on Spotify and they give you this list of like what cities play your music the most, like where you have the most listeners. We saw that Atlanta was like the third most of any city in the States. So we're like, okay, what's the disconnect there? And we started to work on it a bit. And then the next time we played there was like 250 people. So if we were playing a show in Toronto and there's 250 people there now, we would be disappointed. But in Atlanta, it's great.
That makes sense. Like, and that's that's a good point to like keep track of that, and then which areas to attack, right? That's I get it.
Well, I mean, there's lots of like tools now for that kind of stuff, but even just like, you're disappointed that there's like, if you're expecting 1,000 people and only 250, I mean, it's still 250 people that have paid to come and see you. And I think we're aware. It's like, we're aware of that. And so I don't think we'd necessarily put on a worse show. And I think we're not like, we've had to work at everything that we've had to do. Like, it's certainly not been, even with Rolling Stone, it certainly didn't mean that we just like could like put our feet up and do whatever, hang out and swim in a pool or something like that. It's like, and even like all these other territories, we've had to work really hard. Like a place like the Netherlands, for example, we were just talking about, Amsterdam. I mean, Amsterdam currently we have a tour up right now, and we've scaled up significantly. We've moved from what was a 300 cap to a 1,000 cap room.
Okay.
And that's a big jump. Like last tickets we sold was 300, we moved up to 1,000 cap, but that's also currently the best selling show in that tour. Like the ticket counts have it being like, significantly higher than even our previous show there. So that kind of stuff is really exciting for us. But if we were to go back and only do like a 300 cap show, we would be stoked, because it's still like, we're still out there, and these are still people that are coming back to see us. I mean, yeah, if you come back and there's like 2 people, that would be maybe a little bit disheartening, but no, we're stoked to be doing it. And early on, we used to play, like Sam said, we'd be pumped we played to 50 people. It'd be like, if 5 people showed up, we'd still rip a show as much as we would if there would, be 1,000 people. It was just, if you do enough of those and for too long, it maybe gets a little degrading at times.
You notice people, like the same people in the crowds, like at different venues? That must have happened, hey?
Like, you mean like the same
Sometimes,
people
yeah.
traveling?
Yeah, like groupies, I guess. Following.
I remember, I don't know if you call this guy a groupie, but I remember our first big Canadian tour after the Rolling Stone contest. This one guy came to like 4 different, or maybe even 5 actually, shows on the East Coast, and he really wanted us to play this song. I can't remember what it was. I think it was the medley at the end of our album, Learn and Burn. He really, really, really wanted us to play it. And like every night he'd like ask for it. He'd be in the front row, he'd be singing. And I'm thinking like, man, we don't know how to play that song. We never played it live. Sorry. I felt bad, but he still enjoyed the show.
You definitely like, there's a few different people too that like we've become friends with that are, fans of our band that will travel around. And there's a few people that are a little bit weird that follow you around too. We have a few of those too, but no, I mean,
tickets, so it doesn't matter how weird they are.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's there's some weirdos out there. There's some folks out there. Yeah, sure. No, I mean, you definitely see it. I mean, it's a funny thing. Early on we were like, oh man, like, oftentimes we'll maybe play the same set list on a lot of shows, maybe not mix it up full on it. It even made us be like, oh man, like we've seen this guy 3 times, 3 times at our shows. Like we should maybe switch up the set list tonight or whatever. But
right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So would you come to Bellevue? Because I don't know if you noticed here, we have
we're putting a festival on.
I know. I see you have our former guitarist Liat Hansen, his band League of Wolves is playing your festival. Yeah, so
that is true.
That's cool. Yeah. What's the deal with your festival?
We so ever since I've been in Holland is like a festival country, right? There's festivals throughout the whole summer. So I have always told myself like it would be cool if I could ever start something like that, but it never came about. Whatever. And then because of our podcast, we've been in touch with a lot of bands and a lot of artists, and Skull Creek Studios and Liat and O Pereira from the Steadies, and we got to talk to a lot of people. And a little while ago, Earl from the Steadies reached out to us and say, we have August 7th. We have a hole in our schedule, which is August 7th.
Yeah.
Do you want us to play in Bellevue?
And we're like, so
sure.
Mark wanted to celebrate 5 years in the business pre-COVID with a festival, right? And COVID put a pin in that. So for since pre-COVID, we've been talking about, we can't put a festival on because of COVID, And Earl messages us and he's like, man, I've got August 7th available if you want to book us. He's like, well, let's see what we can do. So we made a few phone calls, got League of Wolves and 7 Mile Sun on board, and called Earl back and was like, yeah, I guess we're doing it. Like Bellevue Hall, let's do this, right?
Yeah.
So shout out to Earl on that, because he gave us that push that we needed. Like, you guys are always talking about it, so let's just do it, man. Just like shit or get off the pot. Let's do this.
That's great. It's like a podcast, right? You just go for it. I mean,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
So I
great.
mean, we're hoping it goes good, and we want to make it an annual thing for sure.
Yeah. So then when we have an upcoming year, we're going to do it outdoors. That's the plan anyway.
Mhm.
We're going to make it a little bigger outdoors. Hopefully have the sheepdogs on or something, you know.
Yeah, that'd be cool. If Sheepdogs
That'd be
come
great.
to Bellevue.
Yeah, well, we'll have to make
When
it
you talk
happen.
about Holland being a country of festivals, it's
Yeah.
very true. And it makes me think of, sometimes people ask us what's the biggest crowd we've ever played in front of. And
Pink
the
Pop,
answer is, what's that?
Pink Pop or Lowlands.
No, it was like, I don't know what the name is. It's something like Freedom Day or something, or Liberation Day in Holland.
It's when
Oh,
it's
Liberation Day. Yeah.
Yeah, Liberation Day. So it like celebrates when the Allies came and liberated Holland from the Nazis. And so there's this crowd of like 50,000 people there, and probably like, I don't know, definitely less than 10 people knew who we actually were. But as soon as we went on stage, the announcer's like, these guys are from Canada. And everyone just started cheering. It was like, yes, because Canada was part of the Allied force that helped.
I believe it was Canadians that liberated the Netherlands. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually funny because if you're in Holland and you say you're from America, Dutch people will go, "Oh yeah, cool, whatever." But if you say you're Canadian, oh sweet, come on, welcome.
Yeah, that's the best. Yeah.
Yeah, that's still from what is it, 80 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
40. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll have to chat in the future about coming to Bellevue.
Yeah,
Not just for ball tournaments. You guys get that on it. You should have that on a shirt. Your Moose Fest shirt should say Moose Fest, not Belleville, not Bellevue, not just for ball tournaments.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea,
That's a good
actually.
one. Put that on the back.
Hell yeah. We'll make baseball T-shirts.
Yeah, there you go.
Not just for baseball anymore.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. What was another thing I wanted to ask you guys? I got two questions in mind for sure, and they're very mundane, but I'm going to ask them anyways. One of them is, I don't even know if you know how to answer this, but how the frick do you guys get away with having nudity in the Bad Lieutenant video on YouTube?
I think that it's just all you have to do is, I think, just have it be like rated R, so you have to have like a login in order to do it.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's like, because you can have, I mean, it's not like, I think it would be like HBO level nudity. It's not like X rated.
Yeah, it's just like, some breasts and they got like handled a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's I think you just need to have like set it up as like 18 plus, right? We have a new video coming out, and I've been having a whole conversation with them about like whether or not it will pass. There's like certain things that aren't allowed. I think there's like certain things you're not allowed to have advertising tied to, or certain things you're not allowed to have like you're not allowed to actually promote them. Right. And we have a video coming out in a week and a half. And there's been some conversations around that because there's some drug use and drinking in it. And I'm just like.
So a week and a half from tonight?
Yeah, it is on the 7th of July, which is 1 week from now, actually. So.
All right. So for those of you listening, that'll be like tomorrow.
In a few days.
Okay.
A few days.
In a few days. This week.
So in the day after tomorrow.
Right. So that was one question I had, because it pisses me off. Like last week, or I guess, last week's episode, which is actually this week, we had Will Ardell on, right? And he played a few songs on the guitar, and as I uploaded it, it got flagged because YouTube was like, well, this resembles Will Ardell.
Yeah.
The melody, because it's him.
The melody resembles this Will
Ardell song, and it was like, well, we just responded back with, well, that's because it's Will Ardell. Like, that's why.
Yeah. I mean, we get our stuff flagged all the time, and like when I post stuff on Instagram, it's our own song, we get flagged.
How dare you?
I know, it's an annoying thing. It's even when I have to contact the label and put it back up. It's not really. I mean, usually I just go like, "This is us." But I've had to contact the label a few times, or like people in like BA at the label to like get it sorted for us, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a common thing. I mean, it's a good thing, I guess. Like, I don't know. Part of me is like, I'm definitely down to get paid, obviously, for music. Like, I want to get paid, but also at a certain point, it seems like it's like nitpicky, like how TikTok can exist and you can pair music with stuff, but then you put music on an Instagram video and it gets flagged and taken down. It's like, I feel like there may be, I don't know, maybe it's a slippery slope, but it seems like a little bit nitpicky to me.
Right.
Yep. Agreed.
For sure. So yeah, that was one question I had.
Did you notice when you talked about the nudity, Ryan's like, there's nudity in there?
Yeah.
Oh, I know there's nudity in there. It's not like the YouTube video that cuts off. I'm embarrassed. I got to go take care of that.
No, don't be.
Yeah.
Because it is at the end of the song, but it's still there. And then the other one, so I was watching your chugging beers thing, and you kind of,
is that what it's called?
Well, no, it wasn't called chugging beers, but it was
shotgunning.
Wasn't it shotgunning beers?
Oh, okay. You actually called it that.
Talking about beers.
Oh my god, dude.
Yes, I knocked over his shredder and there's confetti everywhere now.
After he spills his drink.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys on. All right. No, you started talking about having like the most beers sold per minute or something at a Winnipeg show.
Yeah.
Can you tell me that story? That's awesome, man. And of course it had to be Winnipeg, right?
It was at the Red River X in I'm going to say 2012 or 2013, probably 2013.
I think it's 2012.
Yeah. We played a show, and afterwards they told us
Seemed like a fun show during the show.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed.
Yeah, but apparently they told us that we had the most beers sold per minute. So we were joking, we're calling it the BPM, because like, a lot of venues, as any show, make a lot of their money off of liquor sales, and they were very stoked because I think it was one of those like free with admission to the X type things, and they sold more beer than they ever had. And so we were supposed to play the Red River X last summer before COVID happened, and I asked if we still held the record for BPMs, and they said yes, we do. You still have sold the most beers per minute at any event that we've ever had. So that's a good claim to fame right there. It was definitely a rowdy show for sure.
Wow, that's
cool, the Sheepdogs, not the guys from Rolling Stone, from the amount of beer they sold.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Our claim to fame. I got to add that to our bio.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. So what, out of all the places, I mean, you gotta have some good road stories, right? Like, what would you say is like your favorite place to play, like, or your most memorable? And I'm sure you've gotten this question lots, so I feel stupid asking it, but I'm genuinely curious. Like, what was your favorite show, man, that you've got to play so far?
It's always a hard one. It's a hard one because it's like we've played so many shows,
right?
We generally, like I said, we have really good shows in Canada as far as like a little bit bigger crowd, but it's also super fun to go to these other countries and tour there. And it's, sometimes playing in a smaller club, people packed in there, it just has a different energy that's also very fun.
Right.
It's
Really
I got hard
to
to
see
pick
you guys in Saskatoon at, I feel like it was the Coors Light Center or something? You guys were doing a fundraiser.
Yes, it was
the Coors Light Center.
Yeah.
You guys were raffling off like a Harley, and Kim Coates was there.
Oh yeah.
To the Children's Hospital or something like that. I got to see you guys there. I think that's the only time I saw you guys. I think
that was a fun one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good night, man. I had a lot of blasts that night.
I saw you play that Red Bull truck in.
Oh yeah.
That was a fave one. Too. Yeah. They did that in a bunch of cities across the country, and they told us that ours was like the best one.
Like by far
and,
the most.
But that's like part of that is because of the crowd was awesome. Like that's not a part of it. That is the reason.
Yeah, totally. I mean, as far as like really, I mean, playing that festival in Holland, like Sam was explaining, that was always a really big memory for us because we didn't realize how big it was. And I mean, I want to even say there may have been more than 50,000 people. Like it was like almost overwhelming, but it wasn't like, we were there. I mean, we played like big shows, but I think like some of those special shows are, like for me, it was really special playing at Massey Hall. When we sold out Massey Hall, that was a really cool one. Like that was a really special kind of moment to be part of sort of like Canadian history in that sense, and playing it before it got, renovated. I mean, it's going to be really cool when it's done being renovated. Like I'm trying to think of some other like really cool ones. We played a set at Bataclan which is where that like terrorist attack happened in Paris. We played a show there in 2019, early 2019, opening. We did a whole sort of world tour with this band called Rival Sons, and we played there, and that was like a pretty weird one. It was like, I mean, we really like France. France really likes us. It's definitely like one of our better places that we go and play. And
it was a very emotionally charged show. Like there's people, we talked to somebody afterwards who was at the Bataclan when that terrorist attack happened, and they got shot, and they said this is the first time that they've been back to a show since, and they came to this show to see.
Which is also crazy because right after Bataclan happened, someone who was at Bataclan came to one of our shows in Paris and was talking to them afterwards, and you know they had hid underneath the soundboard to try to like avoid the shooters, and then like 2 weeks later or whatever it was, they came to our show, and I was like, I wouldn't go to a show, and you know, so they were like, oh well, if we don't go to shows and they win, and I was like, that's pretty wild and pretty profound. It's pretty crazy, but you know, like those like, you know, we get to have these like moments where it's like playing in a place like that where something like that happened and being one of the shows back and a lot of people come back. That was a really remarkable one and a very unique sort of wild situation. But also, I mean, we've been fortunate to play like really big shows. Like, you know, we played for John Fogerty in Australia, and we got to play these like big arenas in Australia and do, you know, tours. You and Seamus from the band are brothers, and they're from Australia, so that was like really cool. We have you know, we did like there's all sorts of tours like that we've done and done really cool. I think probably one of my favorite places to play, I definitely enjoy playing Spain, both because you get to hang out in Spain and the crowds are pretty rowdy. You know, I really enjoy France is a fun place to play. There's a lot of places in America that are just like fun, even like Sam said, even if they're smaller shows, they're just like, you know, we played a rowdy show in Raleigh, North Carolina, and like that was a really memorable one for me. I remember just being like, it was just really fun. So everyone's different for sure.
And Sam?
Yeah, Ryan hit on some good ones. I don't know, my favorite shows are generally like when I feel like, you know, it's always fun playing music, but sometimes it just really like clicks on a whole nother level where just like it's really just flowing out of you and you feel like, I don't know, just feels like otherworldly. So those are generally my favorite shows, and that can happen in front of a bunch of people or it can happen in front of a small crowd. And so those are my favorite shows, and they've obviously happened a lot, and can't exactly pin one down for you. Sorry, but those are all. Ryan gave some great examples.
It's always a tough one when you get asked that question, because like it's way easier if you're talking about road stories. Like someone's like, tell us the craziest thing that's ever happened to you on tour, and it's always like, I don't know, like. But if you were like, you know, when we're then you're talking about Holland and we're like pulling out like a festival we played like 10 years ago or whatever that is, like it's sometimes that kind of stuff's a little bit easier because it, you know. There's years where we've played like, you know, whatever, like 150 shows or more in a year at times. So it's hard to really, you know, really like quantify some of those things when it just is like always happening.
Right. I'm just curious, which venue are you playing when you go back to Holland? Do you know?
Milkveg.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in Amsterdam.
Amsterdam? Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's the one in Amsterdam. Yeah.
Were you guys? I was trying to find this on YouTube and I didn't have much luck. But you guys were on like Jimmy Fallon or Kimmel.
Fallon,
right?
Oh.
Yeah.
How is that? Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, how is that guy? Is he like he is on camera?
Yeah, he's super, super funny in person. Like, I don't remember what he was saying, but he just like came and chatted with us backstage in our dressing room for like just a little bit, just say hi basically. But he was super funny, and I don't know. We're on there twice. When we were in the top two, we had to go on with the other lady who was the other finalist and make up a song. We had 20 minutes to make up a song about an audience member and then play it. And, you know, we're playing in front of this, you know, studio audience, but the television audience is like 2 million people, they told us. And we're playing this song we wrote we came up with 20 minutes before. I'm looking over at the Roots, and like Questlove is looking right at me. And it was like, just very like, surreal, obviously. And then once we won, we got to go back, and it was the day. So we found out a couple weeks before the cover came out that we had won, and we had to keep it a secret. And then it was revealed on, I think, like Ryan said, August 3rd. And the next day we were playing on Jimmy Fallon. They taped in the afternoon. But obviously the day we found that we were unable to announce it around the cover, we celebrated extremely lot or whatever. There's a lot of celebration going on. Anyway, so we're in the dressing room, getting ready to go on Jimmy Fallon, and our manager comes in. He's like, it's a fun night last night. Hey, we're like, yeah, it's crazy. He's like, how about when we went to Harlem? I went to that bar in Harlem. And I was like, what are you talking about? And like, none of us could remember that we all like went, we were so hammered that we went to this bar in Harlem and like partied there for a while and didn't remember. And then like right after finding this out, we had to go play, at least it was one of our songs. I don't know. We played in front of 2 million people. Yeah. Both times went really well though. It was fun.
That's awesome.
So did you get to meet Questlove?
Yeah, he came up and he got me to sign a couple sticks for him. I guess he got to do that with every drummer who's ever played, but I felt very embarrassed signing some sticks for him. Should have been the other way around.
Well, and it didn't click. Like, can I have your sticks?
I was probably too hungover, I think.
Yeah.
The previous part of the story.
We actually, one of the other times that we were in the elevator going up, like at the 30 Rock or whatever to go, it was the time that Sam's talking about where we like wrote the song. We met the guitarist from the Roots, and he was like, hey, aren't you guys the Sheepdogs? And we're like, yeah. He's like, man, I like that song of yours, that I Don't Know song, and whatever. And I was like, oh, right on there. And we're like, well, thanks, man. That's cool. He's like, what are you guys doing here? We're like, oh, we're going to be on the show. He's like, oh, really? Like, he didn't like. We assumed he knew that he knew us because we were going to be on the show, and it turned out that he had just kind of heard of us from probably all the Rolling Stone stuff or whatever. So that was like, it was good to get recognized by a member of the Roots.
Hell cool. Yeah, man, that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
What are you looking at me like that for?
No.
I was thinking, when are you going back? But like, talk shows are kind of like shutting down, hey, I think, because of podcasts and shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's still a place, but it definitely doesn't have the same impact. I mean, you look at like the numbers, so much of it ends up being like having the video on YouTube afterwards, not actually like, it used to be if you were on, like Jay Leno or Letterman or one of those things, you would see like a huge bump in sales. I mean, marketing for music has become so widespread that, you're just seeing, you need to have like, it's a lot more like little hits than it is. But yeah, they say like, I don't remember what they've said, like some of like the Jimmy Fallon stuff definitely doesn't have 2 million viewers or whatever it is like they used to anymore, but it's still worth it. I mean, love to do that stuff again. Never had the opportunity. It's been definitely something we'd like to do though.
Did you know Conan's done?
Mm-hmm.
He's moving to HBO.
Yeah, well, I think he's doing a podcast now. He's going to focus on that.
I heard that he just did his last show or whatever, but he's going to HBO. So I thought he was just taking his show to HBO.
I don't think so. I think he's done doing like the talk show host thing. I think he's probably going to be doing something else.
Interesting.
I think. Don't quote me on that, guys.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's the rumor.
That guy's really funny. I feel like he should be out in his own doing his thing. I feel like he gets like handcuffed when he's at like a network. It'd be cool to see him just go and do his own thing.
Yeah, because I don't know, talk show hosts, they are funny, but a lot of it feels like forced because I'm on TV. I got to be funny now. I don't know.
Think so?
Yeah, it's kind of a dated medium.
I think so. Yeah,
it's all kind of based on like a Johnny Carson type of a thing, which is not.
Yeah.
And then obviously someone like Conan like brought a very original style to it, but it's it just feels dated. And I say that as someone who plays in a rock band who is inspired by 70s.
Unless you're Eric Andre. Now there's some good talk show right there. Because you ever watched those Eric Andre videos? He has talk show.
No.
Oh man.
I don't know who that is.
His name sounds so familiar.
Go. Yeah. Eric Andre, you totally know him. Like he's very recognizable, but he has like a talk show that he does. Hannibal Buress is his sidekick on it. And it is some of the most uncomfortable.
Oh, I know who this guy is.
Yeah. So you watch, you'll thank me later. Put a little amendum that you went and watched it. That's some good stuff. There's a whole bunch of episodes of that, and they're like short little vignettes of him interviewing people, and it's outrageous. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Add that to the list for
He's
sure.
kind of like Oh,
He's got like stand-up specials and stuff like that, but this was like his thing for a long time, where him and Hannibal Buress would do this show and they invite people on and make them feel super awkward. It's really funny. You ever watch
so
those,
it's like,
Sam?
is it like a Nardwar type?
No. It's like,
No,
it's
we've
outrageous.
got Jack Black on there, and Hannibal's the guy, the other guy. So they're like mocking a talk show, but they make
It's sort of like,
really-
almost like a, like Between Two Ferns. Do you guys
I
ever
was
watch
just
that?
gonna say
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It's sort of like that, but like next level. It's so funny. That's some like I'm crying laughing. I was laughing so hard at that stuff. So funny.
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I love this stuff. Sweet. Right on. So when you guys got some Canadian shows playing before the tour starts, right? Like I saw you're playing Regina's coming up, right?
Mhm.
At the end of July.
Calgary
right?
Stampede.
Nice.
Yeah, we got a string of things. There's a few things that haven't been announced yet that are happening as well. I mean, that should be announced shortly, but it's a weird summer, right? It's some places are open, some places aren't. So we're kind of waiting to find out, what we can do and we can't, and waiting to sort of see how things roll out before we like put up club shows. The tour that we're doing in Europe was booked a long time ago and has been shifted multiple times. And so we put that up thinking like, I think we can make this one happen. And obviously we want to make Canada happen as well. So we're doing these shows as much as we can right now. And then we'll do like a proper club show tour when things are a little bit back to normal and we can actually, we don't want to go and do like a, 300 tickets in 1,000 cap room.
Yeah.
Expensive ass tickets or whatever. We want to do it proper and go and do like the usual run of shows. So we're going to wait and do that for sure. But yeah, these summer shows will be fun. Stampede will be kind of crazy, I'm sure. Obviously, Regina will be a good one too. We did that one last year. Same thing. We got Edmonton show as well.
Yeah.
But the Stampede is going to be different this year, isn't it?
A little bit, but Calgary or Alberta is kind of like full steam ahead with the like opening up. So
I kind of just skimmed headlines and it was like Stampede to go ahead, but in different format or whatever it was.
Well, it might be to do with like people coming in for like the rodeo and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, we're still doing this. They have a whole bunch of shows. I mean, part of the fun with Stampede is they have all these shows come in and it's like free to get in. It's free to go to the concerts if you pay to get into the Stampede ground. So
Like the X or something, right?
Yeah. So we're doing that. We've done that several times before. It's a fun time. It's a party. It's a good party for sure.
No doubt. I think, I can see Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba being just a freaking party.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
It's close to home, right? I don't know. I might be off on that. Just like I think like when, I don't know, like Nickelback, they're from Alberta, right? So I think that when they play in these areas, I think fucking party, man.
See,
right?
But Nickelback is one of those bands that it's just like Justin Bieber and Celine Dion. Canadians don't like him.
We met Nickelback once. Do you want to hear about
that?
Say that again?
Sure.
We met Nickelback once. Do you want to hear about that?
Yeah, I do. For sure, man.
We were playing, there's like maybe like 2014 or something. There was some floods in Calgary. You guys remember that?
Yeah. Vaguely,
They had this flood relief concert at wherever the Stampeders play, whatever that stadium's called. And there's a bunch of bands, including us. Nickelback was the headliner. Every band shared one dressing room, and the Nickelback got their own. And which is fine, whatever. They're way more famous than us. And I think Loverboy was in our dressing room too. Probably some other people. Anyway, and so they had this big security guard guarding their door. And I went up to him. I was thinking, like, man, maybe they've heard of us somehow, or whatever. And so I said, hey, do you want to ask the band, like, we're the Sheepdogs, we'd really love to meet these guys, and just say, hey, you want to ask if it's okay? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll ask. And then he came back like 5 minutes later. He's like, come on in. And there's Kroger hanging backstage. This is when he was married to Avril Lavigne, and he was making all kinds of jokes about, like old ball and chain or whatever, and like trying to take off his wedding ring. So maybe it wasn't so surprising that marriage didn't last. But overall, like, I don't think it's a big secret that Nickelback's not our favorite band, but they're super nice to us. And
we always, sort of to your point, we always said like we figured Nickelback would be like good dudes to like rip beers with. Like they seem like they'd be a good band to party with. And we know a few people have toured with them and stuff and said exactly that. Like they're just like good dudes to party with. But yeah, definitely not our vibe. Coincidentally, Avril Lavigne is currently dating a guy who was one of the guys in the Rolling Stone contest that was eliminated before us, a guy named Mod Sun, who's gone on to be like wildly more successful than everybody else involved in that contest. And he's currently dating Avril Lavigne. They have like a song out right now and stuff.
Is that
Really?
I'd have Janelle. My wife Janelle is like a super big Avril Lavigne fan.
Yeah, so
And
Mod Sun was like a rapper guy that was in the Rolling Stone contest who's like gone on to have a very successful career. And yeah, him and Avril have a song out. They're dating and
yeah, don't they
whatever.
have like a video together? And they're
Oh
like,
yeah, they have multiple videos like together.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of songs.
Oh,
But I mean,
You
he
look
had
dark.
he had an Allman Brothers tattoo, right? Or was it that or Allman Brothers or Skinner tattoo or something? Like he was like a guy who loved Southern rock, but
He
was a
loved our
rapper.
band. That's when the Rolling Stone contest. So when we first got in it, we figured we had no chance of winning it, basically because we had no success in the music industry really to speak of up to that point. But all the bands had to go to New York for like this photo shoot, and when we got there, we were talking to other bands, and they're all just like, "Man, you guys are the best band here. You guys should win." And that was like the first time I thought, "Wow, maybe we actually could." But yeah, maybe it's time to cash in on the Mod Sun fandom. He's got like I don't know, probably like 80 million Instagram followers or something.
Maybe you should do a collaboration with him or something.
Yeah, it'd be funny to see that guy again. I mean,
The
we
time
ran
is
into
now.
him. We ran into him like several years ago. It'd been a while. I mean, it's funny because like nobody else from that competition really went on to do a whole lot aside from him, who became very, very successful. And I guess us. So yeah, that's a funny one. So yeah, there you go. There's a segue back to the Rolling Stone thing from hanging out with Chad Kroeger at a Calgary benefit.
yeah, those Nickelback, they're definitely hard to get a hold of.
No, they're not hard to get a hold of.
Just
You're
the way
doing
I'm
it
going
wrong.
about it.
You're just doing it wrong.
I'm doing it wrong.
He's just tweeting them or sending a message
Like,
on Instagram.
yeah,
or
trying
whatever.
to DM them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find that tattoo on this guy, but there's so many tattoos that I don't know where.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where he like pointed it out to us. I don't remember what it was. I mean, it was 10 years ago. Yeah.
I'm gonna
He's
cut
really nice.
this
He's a
out.
really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. He's a very positive dude, and you know, one of those guys that like really is like project what you want and you'll get it kind of guy. He's a really good
Right.
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Sweet.
Which would be the coolest artist?
Like, did you ever fanboy out? Where would you have who would you have fanboyed out on in your career?
And actually met them.
The biggest ones is, like Ryan said, we got to tour with John Fogerty, and he came and talked to us maybe just one time, but at least once. And he was like, you know, man, I really love that song. Who of your guys? I think that's a great song. And like to hear that from one of our absolute heroes is pretty amazing.
And we always laugh because that was the first song in our set, so we always laugh. He like looked at our set list and was like, "Oh, I'll have to tell those guys they like too." Yeah,
he said that's a hell of a song.
Yeah, we met
I
we met Crosby and Nash, which was pretty great. That's obviously a pretty crazy one, and
they had no clue who we were though.
Oh, no idea.
Are
who
you
we
guys
but
the dogs?
there's actually there's on our YouTube. Go to our YouTube. There's an animated version of our interactions with Crosby and Nash, which is pretty great. That was a pretty wild one. Meeting those guys, obviously they're huge heroes of ours and people we've looked up to.
Yeah.
The person we met that people seem to be most impressed with is that we met Larry David. He was on the cover of the issue of Rolling Stone before our issue. And so when they had some kind of party for us, when our contest results were announced, they somehow convinced him to come. It was in New York, and he didn't really, he doesn't really seem like he wants to be at a party like that. But they convinced him to take a photo with us, and so we met him and talked to him for a couple minutes. And
that's pretty great.
Probably the funniest part is like everyone, like he was the most famous person there by a mile, and everyone was trying to crowd around to, take a picture of him or something like that. And this drunk guy, like knocked over this drink on the table and kind of like spilled towards Larry David. And he just was like, "What are you doing?" Like he's like classic Larry David. It was like something out of an episode of Curb. Yeah. It was amazing.
Right. Oh man. Did you ever watch that show? Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No, I haven't.
You got to check that one out.
I know.
That's not bad. That's one of the best shows ever.
It's hilarious.
New season coming out right away.
Are you serious?
Yeah, this summer, new season.
What?
Apparently, they have one episode based on COVID, and they were like, "Then no more COVID." They didn't.
I was
wanna,
gonna say like a couple months ago, I was like, you know who needs to talk about COVID etiquette is Larry David. So episode on it.
Oh, that'll be good. Is that on HBO still? Like, is
Yeah.
it still the same everything?
Yeah, okay, I think it's out. I think it's out in July. It's got to be. I can look it up. It's got to be coming out very soon.
Hell yeah, man! I thought
They've
that
been
was
talking about it for a while.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. So the only TV shows I really watch, well, and not really watch, but I just whenever I can is Schitt's Creek and Kim's Convenience.
I don't watch either one of those.
No.
But I know what Schitt's Creek is. That's Eugene Levy and his son, right?
Yeah, Dan
and
Eugene.
What's her name? Isn't it like Catherine
O'Hara.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she was in.
Well, she was in
Home Alone.
Home Alone, and when the Home Alone came out, I think she's got family out of Saskatoon, if I'm not mistaken. Because my auntie's a teacher, or was a teacher, and I remember her saying that she taught Catherine's nephew or something.
Okay.
Saskatoon.
That sounds like a very Saskatoon story.
Yeah, there you go. Homegrown.
Yeah, that's great.
I know somebody who knew somebody.
Yeah, the neighbor of my cousin.
Yeah.
Across the street. That's how you know Rainwolf too.
Uh-huh. I don't know him. I just know where he lives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not creepy at all.
Not creepy at all.
No.
Oh man. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
is there anything you want to plug? I mean,
we got a new album / EP called No Simple Thing, which we talked about, and there's a new video coming out in a couple days, depending on when this comes out, which is going to be a fun one. And I mean, we'll be coming through wherever people are very soon. So we're looking forward to bringing the rock to people and partying when we can all get back together. So we're looking forward to that too.
Hell yeah, man. I'm going to do my darndest to try and make it out to Regina. I'm going to talk
to
her when I get home. I'm going to see if I can.
Cool, man. Cool, guys. Thanks for having us on. It's awesome.
Dude, man, we appreciate you guys so much. Please keep rocking out. Know that you guys can come here anytime you want to. If you want to just come hang out or promote something, like we'll definitely got your contacts we can reach out to.
Yeah, do it.
We'll talk about next year's Moose Fest.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
Well, and thanks for reaching out. I mean, I know you guys just reached out on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it was, but appreciate that, man. I know you said about Nickelback, but we're a little bit more accessible and we're especially down to support like Saskatoon dudes or Saskatchewan dudes looking to like do their thing. So we're happy to be part of it.
For sure, man. Yeah,
awesome.
We appreciate you guys so much. Big fans here. I wasn't blowing smoke up your ass. I remember specifically being like, could you imagine if we got the Sheepdogs on? And we just did that. So
now what's the next?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to do episode 2 sometime soon.
All right, man. I would love that for sure.
Right,
maybe
cool.
come back after your tour. Tell us some fucking
tell you some tour stories. Well, some fresh stories for you. Yeah.
Tell us how Epstein was.
Right on. Well, cool, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for having us,
Thank
guys.
you.
Appreciate it.
Love you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Ryan from the Sheepdogs.
And I'm Sam from the Sheepdogs.
And this is episode 72 of the Sit Down Podcast.
Boom. First take. You're the second one to get that on the first track.
Well done.
And we've been doing this for over a year now.
And we've been doing this 72 times.
Yeah, I was going to say, lucky number 72.
Yeah.